All right. So, if you're here to listen to this, then you're in the right group. First of all, I'm Kalle Varisvirta. I'm the technology director at Excel. I've been doing over 9 years Drupal professionally. Not developing the whole time. I guess recently, less and less, but at least trying to keep up with where we're going with Drupal. And why am I talking about my subject is that I was originally thinking of having a training to our staff at Excel about this, about how to work with requirements and drive them to the Drupal way. And maybe we'll put some added business secrets to this presentation. But I think I'm going to do that still. I'm just going to try it out on you guys first. So you're my guinea pigs. Congratulations. If you all fall asleep, I might do some changes. Probably not though. Just shorten it a bit. All right. In this presentation, I'm gonna, touch the whole what's the Drupal way. I guess you should know that. What are the benefits of doing the Drupal way? Maybe even benefits that you can communicate to the clients. How does the development process work for Drupal way? And how do you communicate the Drupal way? And who is the one keeping the project on the Drupal way? And we're going to briefly touch those subjects. But first, just give me an idea of my audience. So raise your hand if you're in Drupal sales somehow, selling Drupal. Okay. How about a Drupal developer? Okay. Business owner or manager? Okay. The rest is the one probably here just for the lunch, but that's okay. You can just stay here. You don't have to listen to anything. All right. The Drupal way, in a super simple way, is driving, adjusting the business requirements to Drupal. And it kind of sounds bad to the clients normally, but it isn't that bad when you come to it. You just have to not adjust Drupal to your business requirements. Now, you're allowed to adjust, and you sometimes need to, and you always need to do something. But this is the thing you're striving for. So you're trying not to change Drupal too much to meet the business requirements of the client. I think like this way, using open source has its benefits. You take ready-made components, and you can make a lot of things. And Drupal developers can make Drupal do anything pretty much. You just shouldn't. You should respect the platform you're building on, and you shouldn't turn Drupal upside down. And how kind of should work in a nutshell is that you get your business requirement. Think about a Drupal implementation of that business requirement, and then do detailed requirements, UX, UI, all the rest. And not do it like this way, which is pretty common and always goes to the part where your Drupal will burn and your project will go out of scope, out of budget, out of schedule. Client's not happy. This was supposed to be easy, breezy with Drupal. You can do. I mean, it's you can obviously make Drupal do whatever, detailed UI, UX, if you need to. You just shouldn't do that. And I'm telling you this. You're saying that guy is there being a hypocrite saying that you shouldn't do that. He's probably done that. Yeah, I have. guarantee you guys, done this way a lot of times. So why should you do it the other way around? Why should you take Drupal into consideration before you start to think about how's the detailed implementation done? It's cheaper to build. It's easier to build, but it's cheaper to maintain. Now, maintenance costs are a significant factor in any software project, and among the clientele of this business, they don't really consider those really that much most of the time. It just comes as a surprise. How can this cost so much? Now, if you go work with a Drupal installation, Drupal implementation that has a lot of custom code, a lot of custom modules, a lot of custom this and that, and you go and upgrade those config modules in it. Core usually doesn't break anything, but the config modules, they just might. They usually do when you have a lot of custom code. It's really common. We support a lot of Drupal sites, and we do support sites other than the ones that we made. So we get a lot of this experience regularly. So we upgrade the config modules, and there's some custom module doing something fishy. Now, it doesn't need to be something totally out there. It just needs to be, not using the fetch functionality or EFQ and bypass it, or even, just query the database. And the module changes its database just a bit, and then the whole stack of cards will fall down. You'll be fixing it. And instead of doing a 2-hour update to your Drupal site, you'll be doing a 2-day fixing process. The client will ask, why is it down, or why is it broken? Or, well, you've probably done it on some staging environment or your open environment. Why does it take so long to upgrade a freaking Drupal? It shouldn't be that hard. Well, it shouldn't, and that's the reason why we should all go the Drupal way. Now, there's also added benefits to you, because when you create a large Drupal site, that's not cheap. Large Drupal sites might cost a ton of money, 100, 200, 400K, 800K, even. So getting that number down in that kind of a bid, where you have to be considering the money, Drupal Way will get you that cheaper. You just have to somehow maintain that you will do it the Drupal way, and not the client's way. And when you're going to those numbers, you'll be answering anyway to a lot of questions. Why is this so expensive? And why it's supposed to be pretty much ready-made. It's a platform for content management or something like that. And then it becomes a programming project. You should avoid that. But it helps you to do it the Drupal way. And most of the time, when you're forced to do it any other way than the Drupal way, it really doesn't give you that much benefits. It doesn't give the client that much benefits, but it doesn't give you any benefits either. So we're building something really cool looking customized thing. I'll have an example here later on, and it's a real-world example, unfortunately. But it's just going to suit someone's desire to leave their fingerprint online. Maybe some UI designer or a marketing director who wants it to look just like that. He saw it in a dream, or she saw it in a dream, and they want it done just like that. And it's going to cost them a lot of money, and then they're going to complain to you, why are you so expensive? And then, that's the end result. You're expensive, they're not happy about it, you can't maintain it, and it doesn't give you any benefits. Or, it's a UX designer who wants to do something so smooth, yet so useless feature to your website. That also happens. I heard this question a couple of weeks ago, maybe, month ago. And some of you might have heard of this project. There's a lot of Drupal vendors bidding for a project where also Episerver was an option, which is something that we in the Drupal community try to fight. Basically, Episerver not being a big thing in Finland. And the question that everybody ended up is that why are all the Drupal offers twice the price of Episerver? And this actually happened recently. Well, I have a kind of a, well, I say that this is just my guess, but it might be due to the fact that the people who build the requirements or build kind of features on the feature list, they all knew Episerver, but they didn't know Drupal. That means that they're going, you're going with Episerver, you're going the Episerver way. With Drupal, you're not. You're going the nasty way of building everything from scratch. And that becomes twice as expensive. I don't see that. What's the big mystery here? That's the reason, probably. I think the guy who was running the show probably disagreed. He's not here, so I get away with it. Don't tell him. So the development process with the Drupal way would be that you first need to get to the bottom of the business requirement. Clients are sometimes they're pretty open about business requirements. Sometimes they're really hard. It's really hard to get to the bottom. We just need this done, Well, it's just a box that person wants. Like, what's the business requirement? What do you want to make of that box? I understand that you want the box, but why? And you might need to be asking a lot of why questions and maybe going to the next person and asking them, and hopefully not pissing anyone off with your inquisitions. But when you reach the business requirement, then think how you can do it in Drupal and suggest that instead. We can't make a box like that easily, but we can make a thing here on the other side of the page, which would be kind of a breeze to do. How about that? And if they say that no, we want the box, then you try again until if nothing helps, then you'll just have to do it the hard way. And if you don't find a business requirement, that's where you should try and scrap the whole requirement, because why are you doing something that there's no business for? What's the point? Everything you do, there should be some kind of an idea of what's that for. And it totally depends on the organization. It's not about the size of the organization either, because you have different outlets in an organization, and they all have different ideas of what is required. They should all be able to be tied to business requirement. So, looking at some example requirements, and I know I'm talking about requirements, I'm going to touch that a bit later. Basic kind of requirements, well, basically user stories are really good. I like user stories. You get a lot of leeway on how you can implement it, as long as you fulfill the user's requirement, kind of the user requirement, how the requirements are built. And yeah, I know about impact requirements and all that, new stuff evolving around user stories, but or you build impact stories and how user stories miss the whole business requirement. But I guess the key is that as long as you're at a user story, you can work your way around that, because that's a place where you have a lot of room for doing that what you want. So let's say we have a user story as an authenticated user. I can save a content item and later get to that item from the list of saved content items. Now everybody here who's a Drupal developer, just that's simple. It shouldn't take long. And you know, I'd probably use like flag or something like that. It's, you know, just do a kind of a bookmarking thing on Drupal. It's going to be a breeze, and you can just tell that I implemented it now. You can just, you know, think about the UX and the theming and the kind of stuff later. I guess a bit worse are the ones that are in writing but totally vague. This is kind of like it can be easy as a user story, or then the client has a really specific idea on how to implement it. They just can't formulate that in writing or even in words, and then you'll be poking in the dark trying to implement it just the way they want it. Here's an example. Now, this is a real world example. I've seen this requirement, and this is the whole requirement. There's nothing more, there's no descriptions, nothing, no categories, which is like maybe a number 3.62 flirt in quotation marks. That was a dating service, so you can maybe have an idea of that, what that might be. So I would probably, if that's, you know, the whole requirement, I'll probably do another, you know, maybe flag another user's profile, so you can flag with them some notifications to the other user. It's a bit vague, it's a bit open, but you can work with it unless there's some kind of a secret plan on how to build this whole flirt later on. And it's not. It's from years ago, I guess, at least 6 years ago, I guess. So it goes when you have a wireframe attached, then you know then your path of getting to the Drupal way is limited by if the wireframe is, you know, let's say compatible with the Drupal way. If you find that tool that will make that happen for you, unless it happens to be a Drupal default wireframe, then they probably call it. This is not a real world example, I just made it up. That analog slider there, it's like totally smooth, and you can select the mood of the website from there. It changes the mood, right? There's no mood module for Drupal though, unfortunately. And here are some pictures which are in this cool white format. You can let users upload their pictures, and the system will automatically just cut them perfectly in that white format, so that the essential parts of the image are shown there. It's a really nice requirement. You know, you can't automatically cut images into the white format without losing probably the heads of people and stuff, as we all know. But the slider, the mood slider, we did that. That's a real thing. That was awesome. Again, a website with a lot of content. You can just select the slider, you know, to fit your mood. Didn't work though. That comes as a surprise, right? Wow, that's a cool idea. Now, it didn't work because all the content editors, and they were professional content creators on the site, they said that, you know, the slider is totally cool, but all my content needs to be shown regardless of the slider. Everybody said that. And the slider is actually nothing, and then we removed it on the site. But we spent a lot of time building that slider so that it, you know, worked just perfectly smoothly, because it had to somehow calculate some moods and stuff of the articles that the content editors specify. Yeah. I guess it was like installing an air conditioner into a sauna, like mostly amusing, but totally pointless. I guess, you know, the worst requirement that I ever got was a link to a private YouTube account that had a kinetic design as a video. So it had the full layout and, you know, all the transitions and actions and clicks and stuff and fonts in there. They were all there. It was like pixel perfect design, kinetic, like awesome. It was super cool. Somebody probably did it in a video editing software. Regardless of anything that happens online, you actually have to, maybe load some assets at some point. And just, perfect. And I guess that's the worst way to go. You have a long way to the Drupal way, because you need to go to the client saying that, okay, I saw the video and I know what you mean, but this would work like this in Drupal, and it's not nearly as cool as the video, obviously, because it's a real thing. It's a thing that can run on the web. Well, that happens. So if your client asks, like, in what format would you like our requirements? Don't say like full HD video. Well, that's not good. It's not good. It's not going to be fun to implement it, based on Drupal. But then again, don't get religious about stuff. If you look at a requirement that says like, I'm going to need to drop an Node.js box here and do that, the whole thing with React on front end. Maybe you should. Maybe that's just the way you should go, instead of trying to make it happen in a Drupal way. If it's just far out, far enough from the Drupal way, then you might just need to do something else. Drupal isn't a general purpose tool. It's good for a lot of things, but not everything. And sometimes clients might even say that, we want it with Drupal, and you just see that it can't be done, that it's insanely hard, and the end result will be underwhelming, overpriced, and behind schedule. In that case, you should just say that, well, I'm a Drupal guy, but this the whole your whole case screams of something else. And actually, we do Drupal among other things. So. Selecting between a CMS and a non-CMS is usually pretty straightforward. It's rarely on the edge. It sometimes is, but it's not that common. So, the hard choices are between CMSs, because we also do some other CMSs. I'm not going to name them here. I don't want any fucking tomatoes. Anyway, communication to the client, expectation management. I think the client should understand that you're building something on open source. It's a thing that already exists. You can build a lot of things, and you can make it look like yours, but it's going to be a thing that exists. It's going to do certain things in a certain way, and that's how Drupal does things. You should help the client understand what is essential. If we bid, competing against a gig, and someone says that sure, we can do whatever you want, and others will say that we do this in a Drupal way, not exactly as you requested, but in a slightly different way. The end result is probably not good for the others who try to go the Drupal way. And then the client will say at the end that, I thought I liked Drupal, but the end result is horrible to maintain. And that's only because someone didn't do it with Drupal, they just did it on top of Drupal or something like that. And everybody should understand that world isn't handmade anymore. A lot of times I hear about developers who say that I don't want to do Drupal because it's just like building from Duplos, Legos, something. Existing pieces, just maybe a bit of code in between. But if there are still places in the world where you do handmade code, and there are some places, web isn't one. Online, you do a lot of things already with ready-made tools. So that should also be communicated to the client. They understand that we're building it from existing blocks. Everything you're going to do online is probably already done in a way. If you have something special, we can do that for you in just a custom module. I remember in the 1990s, in the late 1990s, there was this whole idea of reusable code, reusable code components, and reusable code component libraries where you could just go and get those, maybe even buy at that time, buy those components. And I think, we're there now. This is it. This is, Drupal is your code component library where you can get your components. And, I think it's a good way of building stuff that, websites aren't that different, of building stuff, on top of existing components. You're not doing everything by hand. I think talking about responding to RFQs and but it kind of applies to Agile too, because in a lot of Agile projects you still have the designer or the UX that does kind of their thing first, and that shouldn't happen, because the requirement should come to the whole development team first, and then together think on how it should be implemented. But Agile doesn't mean that you don't, get requirements. It's just easier to negotiate them with the client because you're there. And so you can say that we only do Agile by many companies, do it like that. If your business model can take it, that's totally cool. Ours can't, because we don't, rent people to stay at client premises as a principle. We do that to some extent, but we try to keep people working in the comfort of our own office. So we do a lot of these RFQs and responses to RFQs, and that's what makes it a bit more difficult. Because in a lot of RFQs, the client wants to know what they're going to get with their money. They want to know what's the end result. So you're going to have to respond with something that what you can do with that money. And you're going to obviously think about how you're going to do it in Drupal Way. And if you do it in some other way, you're going to end up, expanding the budget by, double or triple. That's possible. But luckily, when you go forward with the first project, usually that you have established trust between you and the client. And the next project, you can tell that let's do it a bit differently. The first project was kind of painful. I was always asking you about business requirements and trying to make it look different with Drupal. This time, just give me the business requirements. We'll look how we can build it on Drupal. And then it goes easier. Obviously, there are clients where that one big project is the one big project they're going to do for the next 5 years. That's possible. But then at least the maintenance, after fighting about the Drupal way through the whole project, will be easier. So who's the Superman to keep the project on the Drupal way? Maybe the project manager will take care of that, or your managing director. No. They're not going to see the requirements. They don't know how it's supposed to be done in Drupal. It's going to be the coder. Usually, this day, there are no layers of technical project managers between you and the client, so you can actually talk to the client. You can figure out a way how to do it with Drupal way and suggest that before you have a layer of technical project managers around saying that this is the requirement, just implement it. And you're going to be, shit out of luck. You just have to do it. You need to be able to participate, though. It can't work so that all the requirements are set on closed source with some product owner and your project manager or something like that. You need to be able to go in and go through the requirements before the implementation started. And you have to have some say on how they are implemented. So it needs to be an environment where people listen to the developer. However, in my opinion, in the last 10 years in the business, clients are more and more eager to listen to the experts. If you're going to tell them that that's not the way how you should do it in Drupal, your client is probably going to listen to these days. So if you can have a process like, say, backlog grooming, so you have a special session between the Scrum Master and the product owner, between the sprint planning, so you don't mess up the whole sprint planning. Talking about the Drupal Way, you can use the backlog grooming session to go through the backlog and go through the implementation possibilities with the client and tell them how it should be done in Drupal instead. And when you go to the actual sprint planning, then you say that, well, we talked about this and this is the Drupal way, we should do it that way. We can actually fit it into the sprint if you do it that way. Yeah, obviously, as a coder, you need to speak up. So, coders are frequently a bit, or a lot of coders are introverts a bit. You don't feel like talking to the business person. You should. We are seeing more and more of these RFQs saying that we want this done out of the box as much as you can, or please minimize the need for any custom functionality or code. If you have that in the actual RFQ or in some meeting or in some meeting, in some beginning kickoff or whatever, you can use that. You can say that I'm trying here to minimize the custom code. I'm trying to minimize your cost of ownership after the project has been done, because the maintenance is going to cost in relation to the amount of custom code. Tell that to the clients. Tell them that I just want to make sure that you get the most bang for your buck on the long run too. And I think they are eager to listen to your suggestions. Now, why am I talking about this? Yeah, so doing Drupal almost 10 years now. I think we already did a bit too much of custom stuff on Drupal 5, but it kind of got really bad on Drupal 6. We were doing bigger and bigger gigs and bigger things without genuinely thinking. We just thought that that requirement misses the Drupal way on that corner, so let's do the whole thing custom. You should not do that. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you get to code. It's awesome. Oh, I get to code my own thing. It works perfectly, just the way I designed it. But it's not going to be maintained by the community. It's not going to work in combination with all the others. It's not going to be pledged for Drupal 7 or Drupal 8 later on. So we did a lot of stuff our way, not the Drupal way, and it hurt the developers later on. It hurt the maintainers. It created projects where nobody wanted to be in later on. There was too much custom code. You didn't know how that thing works because you came midway to the project. And I would like to see that we learned a really valuable lesson. And that's the reason why I'm here. As I said, I was going to talk about this to our company, and I think we do a lot of stuff differently today, and have been doing for a lot of years already. But there's never enough reminding you that you should always mold the requirements to fit the Drupal, not the other way around. So learn from my mistakes, maybe. Well, if you do the same mistake, learn from that first time, then don't do it for years and years. A quick recap. Remove the UI UX detail descriptions from the requirement if you can. Always worth a try. The client asks how. This was, by the way, yesterday. The client asked, how would you like your requirements to be defined? User stories. Tell them user stories. If they can't do the detail, user stories are better. It's just going to be easier for you to create that. Try to inspect the bare business requirement if you can reach it. If there's none, throw it away. And ask for more information if you don't find any business behind it, or there's no sense in the whole requirement. Figure out a way to fulfill that requirement of core and contract modules. Maybe, there are cases where you need custom. I mean, I'm not telling that. There's always, that one single custom module. Well, not always, but most of the time, there's one or two custom things that you need to do, or integrate to some exotic thing. But most of the time, you can do it with core and contract, and you should. And that's cheap to do, cheap to maintain. That's the key. Communicate this clearly to the client. Even if you would be a developer, and even though it's a bit scary to talk to business owners, they will listen to you. And do this all to avoid learning it the hard way. And that's my presentation. Thank you. So, any questions? Go ahead.
So do you, as a company, do you prepare for this in advance? Like studying country modules, they do.
Well, okay.
And sharing information for the whole company.
Yeah, we've tried to do that in a formal way, having kind of knowledge repository available, but that's kind of hard to maintain and hard to keep up to date within a company. But at Excel there's like 50 plus developers. So if you go to our Slack, to the Drupal channel, and ask around about certain features, they're going to suggest you something. They said that I did it in this way. That was fun, or that was a total mayhem. Don't go there. So you always get suggestions these days. It's just but you can go also to the Drupal Finland Slack and ask there. There's a slight chance of there's somebody else filling in the same requirement for the same RFQ, but it doesn't change the fact that if there's a way to do it in Drupal, that's probably a good way for both of you to do it. Fight with something else than how to do it in Drupal. There's probably one good way, or maybe two. So I would just ask people, and obviously if you can maintain a code that kind of content repository on what's good and what, then maybe. But even then, you would probably go and ask the person who wrote that thing, that how can it work in this, because the requirements differ always just a bit. Any other questions?
Do you have any more real life examples?
With real life examples, I have a shitload of real life examples, but we all always get NDAs to high heavens, as in all these gigs. So it would be fun to tell stories about how you would expect Drupal commerce to handle certain things and how it doesn't, because of business-related reasons. But you can, because it's all really secret. So if it's that much older, then I might be able to share it. I don't remember that stuff. That's years ago. But more and more new Drupal sites coming in. Maybe I'll blog about some cool stuff later, if I can, find them somewhere stored in my non-persistent memory. Anything else? Okay, is it lunchtime now?
Yep. Yes, it is.
So.